Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Everlasting Veteran Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Landry, and I am joined in studio with Mr. Scott Lara, president of Militaryfares.com, veteran himself. Sir, welcome to the show.
Ryan, it's a pleasure to be here, and hello to everyone out there.
And I pronounced your last name correct, did I?
That's fine.
Okay. I make up words sometimes, too. That's a thing I do. And I just kind of roll with it, and it gets added to the dictionary.
Hey, don't feel bad. I'm blonde, and I don't have a gallbladder, so I have 2 strikes against me already.
And we tally them all up. We'll create something special, I think.
Exactly.
So before we dive into militaryfares.com and how you got involved with that, kind of jump into like your background, your service, and, you know, what brought you to the journey that you're on right now.
Thank you, Ryan. Well, my name is Scott Lara, and when I was 17 and a half years old, I was working at the camera department at my local Kmart outside of Chicago, Illinois. And my assistant manager said to me, "Hey, Scott." And I go, "Hey, what?" He goes, "What do you want to do with your life?" I said, "I don't know, but I don't want to go to college." And he goes, "Well, join the Navy, see the world." The problem is he didn't tell me that the world was 75% water. So I joined the Navy in 79. Went to boot camp in San Diego. There's no way I was going to boot camp in Chicago. So I went to San Diego for boot camp. Then I went over to Virginia for A school, Operations Specialist A school. Went up to Norfolk, Virginia. Was part of the pre-commissioning crew of Morrison FFG-13, which is a Perry class frigate, and met a bunch of guys that now we're friends for life. Then we went to Bath, Maine, had the ship. It was in 3 pieces, and they were building it. Sailed it down to Boston, where we were commissioned behind the USS Constitution. Then sailed down to Mayport, which was our home port. And then about a year or so after I got to Mayport, I met my wife, Marty. We've been married 40 years. Met her at church there in Jacksonville. We have 2 grown kids, Brittany and Timmy. Brittany was born in Key West when I was stationed with the Hydrofoil Squadron down there as an instructor. And then my son Timmy was born at Camp Lejeune, right outside of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I was there 87 and 88, which, yes, that's the time with the toxic water. I'm sure you've seen the Camp Lejeune, commercials.
Yeah.
And so fortunately, I'm fine. I mean, no diseases. I have my VA hearing aids. I just had dual hernia mesh surgery that the VA paid for. Thank you. And so then I went ahead and got out of the Navy, and then did a couple things, a lobbyist and so forth. But then I became a travel agent. And so my wife and I have like 150 days on Holland America Line, 75 days on Carnival, been on Virgin Voyages, been on MSC, been on NCL. And back in August, I get a phone call from this gentleman. He goes, "Hey, Scott." I go, Hey, what? I see on LinkedIn. And for you veterans out there, LinkedIn is the perfect opportunity for you to talk about yourself, get the word out about you. And for veterans, for 1 year, it's free. And so that's what really helped me on my career journey. And this guy called me and said, "I see you on LinkedIn. You're a veteran and you're a travel agent. I want you to run militaryfares.com. I said, "Put me in, coach." And it's been a rocket ship ever since. I mean, it's like all the stars line up, the stuff I love to do. When you hear people, Ryan, talk about, your passion, and I'm sure on the show you talk about, employment and how hard it is when you get out of the military to transfer into civilian life. Not everybody wants to be a postal worker, right? And so my passion was travel. And before I came on with Military Affairs, I mean, I got over I have over 1 million views on my YouTube channel. Talking about travel. I'm on TV here in Jacksonville, Florida, about every other month talking about travel. So in short, that's kind of my career, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I was intrigued, because I absolutely love to travel, right? And we do it frequently as a family and everything. And, I was like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing, and I connected with you, and, I'm like, man, like this is a new, like, great thing that I came across, and now we have the connection as well. And getting the word out that militaryfares.com exists, is a huge thing, because there, like myself and like you, there's many veterans that, we traveled the globe, in the military, and that part, we love that part of our life. And
Right.
we like to do it, when you get out, or even if you're still serving right now, you know,
You're
and
spot on about that because, like, I've been to Italy, Spain, France. I've been all over the world, right? But I haven't been able to share those experiences with my wife, right? And my daughter and son-in-law just came off a Virgin Voyages cruise in Greece, so they flew all the way to Greece. My wife and I babysat my 6-year-old and 4-year-old grandsons for like 10 days. But you're precisely right on that, and a lot of people don't know that there is a dedicated website travel agency for the military. Now, most people go to Expedia or Travelocity, or they'll call the airline direct, or call the cruise line direct, or call the all-inclusive resort direct. But we've been doing this for a long time. I've come on board since August. But Ryan, it is so rewarding to help fellow veterans save money on their travel, and that's my payday at the end of the day, when somebody will email me or call me and say, Scott, you saved me, $500 on my cruise. You saved me, $500 on my airfare. Thank you. And that's the fun part of it, man.
yeah, absolutely. And we definitely got to talk offline, because my wife and I have yet to go on a cruise. The kids have been on them with their grandmother multiple times. They've been on more cruises than I think, we've been on vacations total. And my wife and I we're talking about it more, like, we got to get on a cruise. It's one thing we haven't done. I was stationed in Germany. She came over to visit, a beautiful country, and got to travel around that area. And it's a little bit easier because it's kind of, everything's close together, jump on a train. But be able to do that travel, in essence, of save a little bit here, save a little bit there, versus paying a huge bulk amount for just one vacation, I think is crucial, because now you can see more.
I think you and I could do a podcast from the ship and from the locations. We could be out there and actually sharing with the audience, and I think it'd be a lot of fun doing that. I mean, you got free Wi-Fi on Virgin Voyages, and you still have Wi-Fi on cruise ships. You just got to make sure you're on their Wi-Fi and not blowing up your cell phone. But yeah, I really think cruises are great because unpack only once. You wake up in a different port every day. And the longest cruise my wife and I have taken are 14-day Southern cruises, which that's on Holland America, which I affectionately refer to as the AARP cruise. It's, age 50 plus, and there's fewer kids. But we've been to like Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, Martinique, St. Bart, St. Kitts, St. Thomas, San Juan, Puerto Rico on a cruise. And so you go in, you unpack your luggage, and then all the food, and everything. Now, we're in the military. What about the drink package? Yeah, you can get a drink package and do that. And of course, you can still stay connected on Wi-Fi. But that's why I love cruising so much, because it's an affordable vacation. And the other thing too, there's different cruise lines, right? Because that's probably the number one call I get, Ryan, is, hey, I want to go on a cruise, but I don't know what cruise line. And I qualify those people right away. I say, listen, I will be happy to share 30 minutes of my time with you, but please promise me you will not go to Costco, or you will not go to vacationstogo.com or somewhere and book it. Book through me, because I have a lot of experience. And so I'll kind of share that with the audience. I mean, like I said, Holland America is for seniors. You have Royal Caribbean, which are families. NCL, Norwegian Cruise Line, is families. Carnival, definitely families. It's the fun ships. But Ryan, I got to tell you this story. This buddy of mine, we were in the Navy together in 1980 and 81 on the Morrison. And he called me the other day. He goes, hey, Scott. It's like, man, how you doing, Hardy? He goes, great. I see you on TV here in Jacksonville. And we hadn't talked in years. He was a radio man, and I was a radarman. And he goes, I saw you on TV talking about Virgin Voyages, this adults only cruise. Put me on it. I said, done. And so that's the fun part of the job. It's not even a job. It's what I do. But yeah, I mean, offline, call me, let's go. And whatever you want to do, if it's adults only, if you want a family experience, because cruise lines are different, right? Like NCL, they have like a go-kart track. Royal Caribbean has a roller coaster. There are other cruise lines that have bumper cars. And so, and the thing is that the ship has now become the destination. You probably don't know this, and maybe the folks in the audience don't know this, but only 10% of Americans have cruised. 10%. And there's people that don't want to cruise because they're afraid of COVID or getting sick, or they feel like they're trapped and they're not going to be able to escape the cruise ship. Well, that's not, you can get a norovirus, a stomach disease by going down to Applebee's. I mean, so don't let the media tell you that cruises are not, safe. You just got to make sure you wash your hands. That's what I recommend. And I also recommend people get travel insurance just in case you do get sick. But the fact of the matter is, cruising is affordable, fun. Another thing I'll say real quick is, like, last year we took my grandsons, my 6-year-old and 4-year-old grandson, on a Carnival cruise. And if you Google Scott Lara Carnival Liberty, you'll see my grandson, and I've kind of branded him the cruise kid. I'm going to turn him into the next Ryan's toy review kid, because Ryan, I think, made 200 million last year. But Ryan's toy review. But anyway, the thing is, like, with my grandson Reed, got to tour the bridge, got to tour the galley, total VIP. So yeah, cruises are fun, brother.
Yeah. And you just opened my mindset of podcasting on cruises, because I have mobile mics and everything else. And, I could even pack up even a small little piece of equipment in which I have, and be able to, podcast and showcase, what the cruises are about. I do it a little bit in my life of going to the gym, going to Veterans Rally Point, and showcasing what the facility has to offer. But in the same aspect, be able to do that as you vacation, because I love doing this. And, I love just opening people up to my everyday world as well. And I think it would be a great opportunity. I'd definitely jump on a boat with you.
Well, I'll tell you, we'll talk offline. Let's find a sponsor, LifeLock or some other sponsor, to underwrite us going, and then we could do it basically on their dime and get some clicks on it. But like, my website is thecruisegenius.com. I started that about 15 years ago, and it's funny how I started that, Ryan. I went to a trade show, and somebody was giving away a camera, it's like a flip camera. And back in the day, they weren't that great, but it was okay. So if you look at my YouTube channel, type in Scott Lara, Lara, you'll see my early videos from 12, 15 years ago. Hi, Scott Lara, 1961 on Twitter, on board the Carnival Fascination, May 15th, 2000, and we're blah, blah, blah. Now, my motive for doing the Cruise Genius was to make my family and friends jealous. That was my motive. And it was. And so I'm getting all this video, and this is back in the day now. 15 years ago, YouTube was just coming up. Gary Vaynerchuk was just coming up. Mr. Beast was just coming up. And I kind of rode this wave. Now, I'm not Mr. Beast by any, and if you don't know who Mr. Beast is, just Google it, audience. But Mr. Beast is off the chain. But the point I'm trying to say is, in the travel genre, back then there were not a whole lot of people doing it. Myself, Cruise Radio, and a couple other ones. But the point is that I was getting video and then sharing my passion and my tips for cruising. But yeah, we could go on a cruise. We could, do interviews, and it would be a lot of fun. And, the food. I mean, I'm a Navy veteran, right? So the food on Navy ships was not good. But I will tell you, on cruise ships, you got the escargot, you got the steak, you got all this food. You can eat as much as you want. And that's where my wife gets kind of mad, because my wife will say, and we've been married 40 years, is that your 10th ice cream cone today? It's like, honey, are you counting? I mean, pie and cake and all this kind of stuff. But, if you go to thecruisegenius.com, you see all my cruise stuff. Go to Scott Lara on YouTube, you see it. And of course, Militaryfares. And that's where I've kind of taken all my experience with travel and brought it over to veterans.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love ice cream. So you're saying basically it's like a Thanksgiving vacation. Don't eat prior to going.
Oh, 100%. Now, the danger is when you're on a cruise for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, 14 days, when you walk off the ship and you go to McDonald's or somewhere, now you got to pay for your food again, because all your food's included. Now, they do have specialty restaurants on cruise ships. Like, For example, on Holland America Line, they have this thing called the Pinnacle Grill. Amazing steaks, amazing crab cakes, and whatever it is, 40, 50 bucks a person, totally worth it, and much cheaper than going to Ruth's Chris or to Morton's or some other restaurant. The good thing about Virgin Voyages, besides it being adults only, no kids, no tipping, all the restaurants are included. And little sidebar, my brother-in-law were on a Virgin Voyages cruise last year, and we go down to the Wake, which is a steakhouse, and I look over and I asked my brother-in-law, I said, that guy looks familiar. And it was Montel Williams, the former talk show host. Now, you may or may not know that Montel Williams was both a Navy and a Marine Corps officer. And so he was like in the intelligence community. So all these people are taking pictures of Montel, and he comes walking by. Hey, Montel, Scott Lara, Navy veteran. Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. And he was just a very cool guy. But Virgin Voyages, founded by Sir Richard Branson, they sail all over the world, of course, out of Miami. And I will tell you, I'll get tongue-tied on it. Virgin Voyages is an experience unlike any other that I've been on, and I've been on almost every cruise line. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, before we continue, we're going to get to a commercial break because now you made me hungry. And I hadn't had lunch because I was recording an episode before this. So I'm going to go to commercial break and grab something to eat.
It's a noble calling to join the armed forces and defend our freedoms. It's a testament to the determination and love freedom requires to care for your family while your spouse is deployed. It's a profound honor to uphold the legacy of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. It's inspiring to choose to support veteran-owned businesses. It's rewarding to give of your time and resources to veteran service organizations. Together, we can lift our veterans and show them our heartfelt gratitude. They've given us so much. Let's give back with all the support and appreciation they deserve.
Yeah, Support Vets app is available for download today, and it's amazing ecosystem. I was just on the phone and more of a broadcast conversing with the UK partners, Canada, Australia and stuff. It's a global ecosystem for veteran-owned businesses that help veteran community, organizations. Amazing app that's coming out and available to download now. We spoke briefly about it. And I think it's a testament to the veteran community coming together, seeing that there's more of a need for a connection in a different way. And it's not just about going and getting services, but that B2B aspect as well, and creating a better networked connection where you may not otherwise know that it's down the road from you, and I think it's an amazing thing.
I agree with you 100%. I'm very excited about the app. I looked at it as well because, if we're spending our money, let's spend our money with fellow veterans who are in business. If it's a veteran, if it's a female veteran, whatever, to give them, because they need our support. And I will tell you, for myself, I'm a very good self-promoter because I have a huge ego, but a lot of veterans are very shy. They don't want to promote themselves. I could tell you, even like in the VA, when you talk to a VA, a military member who's like 70 or 80 years old about their benefits. No, I want it to go to the guy from Iraq. I want it to go to the guy from Afghanistan. And you tell a senior veteran, because my wife's grandfather was a World War II bombardier. And I said, listen, you get free home health care. You get this, you get that. Well, I want the guy from Iraq to get it. Well, the guy from Iraq's going to get it. But the point is if you don't take it, Ryan, you and I know this being in the military, if you don't spend it, the government's going to cut your money. So you've got to show that you're providing services. And, we heard this last night at the debate, and I don't want to get into politics, but the PACT Act, with the burn pits and stuff, billions of dollars for veterans who, were over there. And it's not just the PACT Act also helps with the Camp Lejeune veterans like myself. So what I'm saying is that the app is going to be great. I do encourage everybody to sign up. I'm going to jump on there because I want to support veteran-owned businesses. Let's help each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And there, and it's not just veterans that are going to be able to use it. That's the thing to it. And also on top of it, it's a great tool, an instrument for other businesses, maybe Militaryfares. I know Minky Couture is on there. Other businesses to show support in a different way. And the app itself isn't going to have a bunch of pop-ups and stuff like that. It's elegantly put, just to show the appreciation for other businesses wanting to come on to support, the veteran community as a whole, and also the VAs and stuff will be on there. So you can be on vacation, be like, hey, I need to schedule something. I need this now, and be able to find the closest location, versus just Google or whatever the case may be. But also, how many times you typed in Google or in your maps and been like coffee shop, automotive, whatever the case may be, and you get this huge population of, which one's the best one? I want to go to the best one, or I want to find a veteran one. And this app's going to be able to provide that. And it's truly going to be amazing as the ecosystem grows.
I appreciate you saying that, because like with veterans, I go to Jaguar games, right? And they'll always say, if you're a veteran, stand up. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Well, that's great. But veterans who have put their money on the line, if it's a bakery, if it's a pizza place, if it's a car repair shop, Militaryfares, those of us in the military community who are investing in business, and then we hire people. I mean, I have employees that answer the phone. If you go to militaryfares.com, you'll see our phone number in the upper right-hand corner. So I applaud you and your team for creating and developing and moving forward on this app. And you can count on my support to promote it and to build it.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I want to be clear. I didn't come up with the app. I'm just connected with the brilliance that did, and Walter out of Utah and his global team that he's established with the launch of this app. It's truly, truly amazing, and be able to get insight into other veteran communities' issues as well in other countries, where we can grow and better each other for our veteran communities, learning what they're going through, what we're going through, and be able to lift each other up on a global aspect. I think it is untouchable. You can't put a monetary amount on it. It's truly an amazing thing. So,
I agree with you, because especially with veterans, if it's PTSD or if it's other issues, most veterans don't want to talk to a civilian. Like you and I have just met the other day, but I feel very comfortable sitting down, talking with you and sharing, my experiences. And I know you would probably feel the same way, because we have that common bond. We have that brotherhood. And the K9 for Warriors, they're here in Jacksonville, Florida. And I went to one of their ceremonies the other day where they actually, gave the service animal to the veteran. And these veterans, PTSD and so forth. And so I think the veteran community is definitely underserved. It's underappreciated. And I think with all of us working together in the veteran community, and, in addition to business, but also PTSD or getting with your VSO or trying to get the benefits you've earned. Even like, you always hear this stuff about, the 811 or whatever, the suicide stuff. And people have no clue outside the veteran community. The veteran suicide rate is so high. And I don't know the number off the top of my head, but here in Jacksonville, we have the Fire Watch. And this guy, Nick Howland, founded that. He's a Navy veteran. And it helps veterans to get the help they need. And and I know when you call the VA, sometimes you're on hold a while. And if somebody's got an issue, they don't need help next week. They need help today. But the point I'm saying is, I think this app is a huge step forward for business, for veterans getting the services they need, the help they need. And it's also for connectivity between the other veterans.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And I also want to add to that is, with the service organizations and the businesses, and your transition out of the military. And it's a big reason why I created this podcast, aiding in that transition and helping find purpose again. And we have to understand, as veterans getting out, of managing our expectations into the civilian world. We get out, we have, high caliber leadership. We have, these set standards of where to stand, what to say, what to do, all this other stuff. And life is simplistic in a sense in the military. because that's ingrained in you. That's the life, right? You embody it completely. When you get out, the difficult times of finding your, quote, new identity, finding your purpose in life again, those transitions, and it's not a singular transition. I say it all the time. The singular transition is just the contract ends and you get out. You have multiple other transitions after that, and a lot of it has to do with your purpose, finding a job, your identity, and with Militaryfares and other like companies that hire veterans. I think it's an important aspect to the veteran community to understand that support of hiring veterans is a huge key piece to helping with the transition. Because you can find purpose in what you do, say working for militaryfares.com.
100%. And the thing is, so many of us in the military, we think we're going to be able to get out and get a job like that because, we walk, we talk, we're on time, we're dedicated and all this stuff. And that's the furthest thing from the truth, because I was an operations specialist. I was a radarman. I controlled helicopters and I controlled aircraft. The only job I could do, get out of the military, was being an air traffic controller. And I didn't want to do that job. It's very high stressful, long hours. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. So I had to find out, and it took a little while to find out, because first I became a lobbyist. I was going to DC quite a bit. I kind of landed in that job. And then, of course, the travel job kind of worked into that. But, and again, I know I said it earlier, but for those of you tuning in, I urge you veterans to get on LinkedIn, click on it where you get a free 1-year premium account on LinkedIn, and then just start talking about yourself, talk about your service, talk about your interests, join different groups. And the other thing I'll say too, Gary Vaynerchuk, write that name down. Gary has been a huge mentor to me. And he does know it because he and I follow each other on Twitter. But Gary Vaynerchuk, when, the internet started coming out, he did this thing called Wine Library, and took his dad wine company from 6 million to 60 million, basically from social media. And that's what you got to do. I mean, if you type in Scott Lara, Lara in Google, you'll see all my stuff, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you'll see LinkedIn, you'll see YouTube. You got to get yourself out there. And that's when it's just like what my guy did with me. He saw me out there. And I didn't have to ask him, he asked me. And that's what veterans have to do. They've got to take a more proactive approach. And let me just say this too, and I'll be kind of direct, is that you can't let time go by. You can't get out of the military and, 3 months, 6 months, because that's a tough nut to crack, because it's kind of nice waking up when you want to, sleep when you want to, Judge Judy at 10, Judge Hatchet at 11, Price is Right, take a nap. You're wondering how I know those times, right? The thing is that you got to get your next job like you are going to a job. Back in the day, you get a newspaper, get a highlighter, and you highlight the jobs. Well, that's in the 70s. Nowadays, you've got to be out there to do it. And listen, I'm going to tell you something. If you're a veteran and you need help, Ryan's available for you. Email me, Scott@militaryfares.com. I would be happy to put some inspiration and love and encouragement in your life to help you get back on track. But I'll tell you something. There's a 400 trillion to 1 chance that you're a Ryan or you're a Scott or you're a Bill or you're a Caitlin. 400 trillion to 1 that you're wearing this bodysuit. And please go out there, take life by the throat, and go out there and get it, because it's not going to come. It's just like, last thing I'll say, and you can ask another question. It's kind of like when you're dating, right? Guys can go to a bar. No girl's going to ever come up to us, right? The guys go up to the girl. It's kind of the same way with getting a job. It's very rare when somebody's going to come to you. You got to go out there and get it. And if I could give any inspiration, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on that as well. And, the military does a really good job of getting us prepared to be a sailor, a soldier, a Marine, and stuff like that. I do think that more of preparation of the transition out of the military needs to happen, of being able to, because if you're in the civilian world, and you're doing the job search, you're doing interviews, You still have a job, and then you give your 2-week notice or whatever the case may be. All right. You can't give your 2-week notice to the military, right? You know, they'll give it to you, right?
You remember that? Remember that in Forrest Gump when he's standing there playing and the guy walks up and he stands at attention, you're out, boom, and he runs out of the, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know, and in that aspect as well, you know, we have to learn how to write the proper resume that showcases your abilities, not just the job that you had, but your abilities in leadership, your abilities in what you've done, translating those awards, translating that DD 214 into civilian language. We have to adapt and overcome, right? And these are the struggles we face. And, you know, you get that rudimentary, basic, you know, kind of comment, you know, here and there, keep doing it, you know, keep at it. Well, if it's not working, you have to readjust, change a variable, right? Obviously there's something that's not working and you have to showcase yourself better, right? And then get into that self-improvement, right? And be the best version of yourself for you first, and others will see it. And then you can be the best version of you for that company, for your family, for your friends, for the veteran community. But you have to have that self-reflection, that self-improvement period, right? If it's not working, because sometimes, and we hate to admit it, especially as veterans, that we're wrong. We're not doing it exactly how we should. We're not doing it to the best of our ability. We may think so, right? But getting the insight from people like yourself, me getting it from you, back and forth, getting that perspective of what's worked, what hasn't worked, and applying it in your own way in your life to better yourself is the key to it. Not fighting with each other of who's the better veteran to get the imaginary trophy, right? Working together to improve each other in your own ways.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And the only thing I'll add to that is, like, when you're dating a girl, right? Do you take a shower? Do you shave? Do you open the door for her? No girl is going to want to go out with you guys if you're, you know, sitting there playing video games and not taking care of yourself. And ladies, for you in the veteran community, you know, if you aren't looking good, if you aren't, you know, listening to the guy, now granted, you never have a second chance to make a first good impression. But I will say this, is that a lot of times both the guy and the girl will put on their best face when they're dating. And then when they get married, you get to see the real person. And so the fact of the matter is, guys get married for things to stay the same, and women get married for things to change. What does that mean? Every Friday night, Ryan and I are shooting pool down at the pool hall, and Caitlin may say, yeah, I like Ryan. He's a good guy, handsome guy, you know, bigger arms than you. Great. But then you get married and the wife says, oh, no, you're not going out with Ryan. He laughs too much. He's too happy. You're sitting on the couch with me watching the Hallmark Channel. So all I'm saying is that if you're going out to get a job, just pretend like you're going out to get a girlfriend or a wife. You know, treat it that way. And I think you may have some success.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, you simplistically put it like that, but it is true, right? In the aspect of showcasing yourself in the environment in which you want to continue having that realm of things going on with you, you know, whether it's in your job, your network connections and stuff like that. I do have to say, as you grow, right, and elevate yourself, right, there are going to be those negative aspects of, okay, why aren't you know, not just relationship, but, you know, friends, family, stuff like that, where they're gonna start kind of dropping off because you're elevating yourself to the next level. It's your choice if you want to continue to elevate yourself and go on that path. It's not that you don't care about them. It's not that, you know, you don't want them around. It's just that you're elevating yourself. And if somebody's not elevating at the same rate you are, right, there's going to be a disconnect, and you have to prepare for that and have that in your mind that it's going to happen.
You are spot on that. That's absolutely brilliant because, for example, if you're a girl or a guy and you want to be a model, you're not going to be a model in Topeka, Arizona. You're not going to be a model in Aurora, Illinois. You've got to go to LA. You got to go to Paris. You got to go to New York. That's where you're going to be a model. And so it's kind of like with you, you know, and don't look at your MOS, whatever you did. Like I was an OS, all I could be is a radarman. You may need to think outside the box a little bit. Now, you may want to say, yes, these are the things that interest me, but you got to keep an open mind and not be so closed-minded and say, well, if I can't get this, well, then I'm just going to, take my VA, my $2,000 a month or $3,000 and just sit around. You've got to be able to, think outside the box. And I will tell you, I had a couple of jobs after I got out of the Navy. I worked for GE for a little bit as an instructor. I worked for a home healthcare company for a little bit, and that's how I got my lobbying gig. And then, I got into the travel agent business because the guy that owns the home health agency, home healthcare, owned a travel agency. And I said, hey, and that's how I got that. So you just got to keep an open mind. And it's exactly what you said. You've got to be, you got to keep at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a perfect segue to what I was about to say. Don't think that just because you're a veteran and this is your resume, that there's not going to be work involved, right? That managing your expectations, right? Managing your expectations is the key to it. Expect failure, right? Just because you have the title veteran or you have these accolades or whatever, you may not be a good fit, right? You have to accept it and move on and go find your fit, right? It's just the same as you go shopping for clothes. You're not going to just grab whatever's off the shelf and not look at the size, right? If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
Well, it also goes, you got to humble yourself too, brother, because let's say you want to own a landscaping company. Oh, that'd be pretty cool. Work 6 months out of the year here in Florida. And so what do? If you don't have the money or you can't get an SBA loan or a VA loan or something, you call the biggest lawn care company in Jacksonville, Yellowstone or whoever, and say, hey, yeah, I am a veteran. Put me in, coach. And you may be making $10 or $12 or $15 an hour, and you may be out there starting, doing, like menial things. But when they see you showing up on time, they see you passing your drug test, they see that you're dedicated, they see you go above and beyond, you're not going to be a lower level person for very long. Give an example. For a short period of time, I worked for a company here in Jacksonville that did telemarketing. And so I went there and I said I was a veteran, and they immediately put me on the phones. I did really well. And they pulled me to the side like in 2 days and said, you're special. I said, well, thank you. We want to make you a manager. And then they made me a trainer. And so guys and ladies, you cannot walk in saying, I was an E6, I was an E7, pay me $50,000 a year because I'm a veteran. It doesn't work that way in the civilian community for the most part. You got to kind of earn your strength. It's just like when you're an E1. I mean, they shave your head, you march, you do all this garbage, and then you get E2, E3. I got out as an E6 after 9 years. And so it does take time. So you got to kind of humble yourself. And I'll say this too, don't be afraid to ask for help. If it's me, Ryan, somebody, the VA, because there's lots of it, like the Fire Watch, same way. There are people out here, because my biggest thing is if I can help somebody else succeed, I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it comes down to is, you want to be able to provide, right? You want to be able to provide for yourself. You want to be able to provide for your family, and you, like you said, you have to have that humble aspect, and I say a lot of times a humble hustle, right? You can hustle, but be humble. Right. you got to have that humble hustle, because in that mentality, that mindset, and changing your mindset of it's not problems, they're obstacles. How am I getting over this, around it, or through it? Right. And we create these, and I had an episode where I talked about this, is labeling it as a problem, right, means that you don't have a solution. Right. And finding the solution to be able to fix your obstacle in a way that you can get around it and move forward is the key to success in whatever you're doing, whether it's a mental journey, a physical journey, a job journey. Don't create the obstacle too, right? When you close your mind off and you think, I can't learn anything, right? Get comfortable being uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, you're growing, you're learning, you're improving yourself. And that's the key to success.
That's like total wisdom you keep saying. That is so spot on, because like with guys, right, when our wives come to us and they start saying stuff, we want to fix things, right? That's our military background. Okay, the ship is broken, we're going to fix it, we're going to continue on. A lot of times wives just want us to be a sounding board, right? And so sometimes when my wife of 40 years starts telling me stuff, I take my hearing aids out and I just start nodding my head. And so, yeah, and don't tell her I said that. But the point I'm trying to say is that, yes, if there's an obstacle, if there's a problem, if there's, around it through whatever way you do it. For example, like the other day, my neighbor hit my car. And so I immediately get on the phone with Progressive Insurance and say, hey, and, they hadn't called me back. Now, am I just going to sit back and wait? No, I mean, I've paid my premiums. The other car that hit my car was a Progressive. You would think, I mean, they'd be shaking hands. I'd be getting that was like 3 weeks ago. I finally got it fixed. So we got to just think, what is the problem and what is the solution? And as an owner or as a manager, I would never want somebody to come into me and say, hey, Scott, we have this problem without telling me what the solution is, or at least giving me 3 solutions and say, okay, we could do A, B, or it's kind of like even on sponsorship of this program or on other things. You got good, better, best. At the good level, you get this, the better you get at this, and the best you get that. And so trying to figure out, the way around obstacles is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I spoke about it before. I had an episode, I had the current base commander, Ken Curtin, on, and we had remote. He was in studio with me. He's my neighbor. And I had L. David Marquette, author of Turn the Ship Around.
Right.
And we spoke about that as far as like leadership goes and, organizations and being able to, effectively buy into what's going on and giving the voice and giving the control back to others, right? To be able to effectively make the right decisions to be able to get the job done, and, especially in the military and anybody in a higher leadership position, they want to be able to help, but don't give the problem and expect somebody else to figure out the solution, because you're not using your capabilities, right, to your fullest extent for the company, for the organization. And you're also not showcasing yourself in a good light to be able to say, hey, I'm a problem solver. I can get this problem done. Maybe you get told, no, don't do it that way, do it this way, but you have a solution. And if the solution that is provided to you doesn't work out, they go, you know what, try yours. And then it works. And then you look like a rock star.
You're the rock star, man, because the fact of the matter is, like with Militaryfares, right? I've come on board and I don't have a huge marketing budget, but what did I do? I knew to make YouTube videos. I knew to make, stuff on LinkedIn. And then it hit me reaching out to Veteran Podcasts. So I started making phone calls to a lot. I've been on a couple, and I reached out to you and have this opportunity to share militaryfares.com with your audience. But just because I heard a couple no's from some other people, oh, Scott, we need a $25,000 sponsorship for Militaryfares to come on the show. Hey, thanks. When I have some more, pennies in the bank, I'll be happy to come back to you. But like you and other podcasters who said, we're going to pay it forward. We're going to give Scott a chance, and share militaryfares.com with the audience. People say karma. I don't know if you believe in karma or not, but when you do something good for somebody else, or if you help somebody else get what they want, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get what you want. And I appreciate this opportunity to be on the show. And I'll tell you what, I'll give back to you. I'm going to blast out this podcast. I'm going to be blasting out the app. And you're going to be going, oh my gosh, we're growing by leaps and bounds. Well, me and maybe some other people can join on this, and it makes it better for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, that's why I created this. And we've spoke offline before, and I've told people, I don't charge veterans or people wanting to come on to share their positivity into the world. Right. I'm not chasing the dollar. Right. I'm not, I look for sponsorships for the show because that's a way to be able to get out the future service dogs for Everlasting Veteran, be able to have a direct impact. I'm at the donations. I'm partnered with breeders, and we donate the dog, and Everlasting Veteran pays for the training. So that, in a business model, any business model, whether it's for profit or nonprofit, you have to have monies coming in for monies to go out. Right. That's just simple math. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 4, and you have to be able to network. You have to be able to elevate yourself in every aspect that you can. And, it may not be, a paid partnership or a sponsorship or whatever, but having that network and being able to understand what others are going through and being able to showcase that is what I did with Everlasting Veteran, and I will continue to do. You don't get charged to come on the show. I'm not even if I end up getting 6 billion freaking followers and stuff like that. There is no monetary amount that I'll ever put on somebody being able to come on, tell their story, because you may say something to another person that's listening and watching, or I may say something and they go, oh man, I didn't think of it that way.
Right.
And they're able to get that perspective, put that in their toolbox and improve themselves.
100%.
So few things with militaryfares.com. How can people benefit by using militaryfares.com, and what differentiates you guys at militaryfares.com from everybody else?
That's a very good question. I and my team work very hard to get deep discounts on cruises, all-inclusive resorts, hotels, and airfare. So when you call us, we're going to get you the deepest discount on there. Go to Expedia, go to Travelocity, look around. We are going to give you the best rates out there. Number two is that, we care about the veterans. We honor the veterans. And so, yeah, we got competitors out there, but, if you look at the website, you'll see, every day we're saluting veterans. We're saluting the different branches of the service. And so we are dedicated to veterans like myself and you, active duty military, because listen, I usually don't say this. When I was an E4 in the Navy, we were on WIC, Women, Infant, Children, down there in Key West. I was making what, 13,000 a year, and we just had a baby daughter. Now this is back in 84. Brittany was born in 84. And so the point is that the military guys, even the officers, aren't making a whole lot of money. They're making something, but the military is grossly underpaid. We're away from our families. We're giving our greatest asset ourselves. And so that's what differentiates us between the competitors, is that, owned by military, run by military, to give the military the discounts. Because like I said before, I could be at a Jaguar Stadium all day long. Thank you for your service. Yay. How about a free beer? How about a Coke? How about a hot dog? They're not going to do that. And that's what Military Affairs does. We're putting money back in your pocket by giving you savings on travel.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people, kind of look at it as like, oh, maybe it's another company, right? But the aspect in which you just said is it's a different approach to be able to help the veteran community, right? And we talked about it earlier, is I like to travel. Can I be able to now take that extra trip that I want to take in that year, right? Or two, now because I've saved on that one,
Right.
It's just back to math, and I'm not really good at it, but last time I checked, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 4. So it's true, and it's a testament to finding a way to support the veteran community in militaryfares.com's way, and that's being able to provide great service, be able to go on the vacations that you've dreamed of, and make it affordable.
100%. 100%. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I did a little research.
Well, that's exactly what it is, because, it depends on where you want to spend your money. I mean, you can run down to Starbucks and spend $5 there. And if you and I own a coffee shop next door, and you and I are veterans, and we maybe did get an SBA loan, or maybe we did, save our money or max out our credit cards, why give the money to Starbucks when you give it to, I'm not just saying give it to Scott and Ryan. I'm just saying to give it to a business that's trying to provide a service in your community. And that's why the app, I think, is critical.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for me, for one, I'll pay an extra $5 for a veteran-owned company, right? Because it's supporting, the cause is there in itself, right? It's a veteran small business or large business, whatever the case may be. The cause is already there. In supporting the livelihood of our veteran community, I think it's a pretty big cause to get behind. And
100%, because you don't know what that veteran did. Like my brother, he was a Marine in the first Gulf War, and he saw a lot of action and stuff like that. But, give your hard-earned money to somebody who put their life on the line for you. And not only is it helping Scott or Ryan or whatever, the veteran, it's going to help that person's spouse and kids and family, and being able to pay the mortgage and to buy groceries.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a testament to, militaryfares.com, what you guys do to be able to give back to the veteran community. And, like we spoke about Support Vets, the app to be able to globally connect B2B, B2C. People don't know those acronyms, business to business, business to customer, and be able to grow as a community as a whole. And, I spoke with this on this topic with the Support Vets app guys, US, Canada, UK. You can't have community without unity, right? And you can't spell the word, right? And if you want to say that you're part of the community, are you putting those obstacles up to prevent you or somebody else from growing? Then you're not unified.
Right.
And you can't say that it's a community, because a community that works together, a community that comes together to build each other up and continue those bonds is going to succeed, and everybody has their own piece of the pie to move forward.
100%.
So
Exactly.
anything the listeners and watchers, anything that, I may not have touched or covered or, whatever, what is the most important thing anybody listening can take away from Military Affairs in, this episode?
Well, I think the number one thing to take away, I'm a Navy veteran, and this has been a huge, thrill for me to do it. It's an honor to do it. You can go to a 9-to-5 job and whatever. There's this one meme that you probably have seen where this guy's leaning on a Lamborghini, and it says, the employee says, "Beautiful Lamborghini, boss." And the boss says, "You work hard every day, and you come in and do the extra work and go the extra mile. I'll get another one of these next year." And that's where it really hits you, because I'm doing something that is extremely rewarding for me. It's very fulfilling. And if there's one thing I could just say to the listeners and to the audience, first of all, thank you. Thank you for supporting this podcast. Thank you for supporting the app coming out. And thank you for this opportunity to serve you. Because if I can give you a great deal on airfare, if I can give you a great deal on a hotel or a cruise or an all-inclusive resort, I know what's going to happen. You're going to tell your family, you're going to tell your friends, go to militaryfares.com. And then it's a win-win. You're saving money, and I'm being able to continue to do what I think I've been called to do, is to help my fellow veterans. So that would be my message.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes to the point of, you have that feel good, that dopamine dump, of what you're doing. And everybody has it. And that service, right? The service, that's why we joined, right? That's why a lot of people join. That's why people continue to serve in a different capacity. And when they get out of the military, and being able to serve people is ingrained in us, and we all feel it. And if we support each other in that aspect, we can all give each other that feeling that we are now serving in a different way. That's the direction the community for more growth needs to happen. It's show that support, because myself, yourself, Support Vets app, Veterans Rally Point, they're there, they want to serve, and it's there for you, me, and everybody else. Support everybody and move forward in a growth, pattern, and be able to succeed all around.
Let me just say this, no matter what branch of service you were in, Army, Navy, Marines, Space Force, whatever, usually it is not just one man as an island, right? I served with 130 other guys on the Morrison FFG 13. One of my good friends was on the Stark, that got hit by that Exocet missile, and a guy I know, Senior Chief Shippey, passed away on that ship years ago. We just celebrated the anniversary of that. But one of my other friends who I served with on the Morrison, who was on the Stark, he survived. So the point I'm trying to say with this story is, no man's an island unto himself, or no woman is. We got to have community. We've got to work together. And like this friendship with Ryan and I that we just met the other day, and having that community of working together for a common purpose. But please, if you're in the audience and you're alone and you don't think anybody's helping you, there is a community out here to help you, especially when you get out of the service and you think, man, I'm going to land an $80,000 a year job. It's not going to happen usually. And you just got to work hard to get it. And it's what you're saying about being humble, the humble hustle.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. And I appreciate you coming on the show and, being able to share your experiences, insight into your life and what you're doing now on your journey of, helping veterans in a different way. And, please, let everybody know at militaryfares.com. I say thank you and I appreciate everybody there. And, thank you for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. And again, to the audience, be sure to support the podcast, like, subscribe, share. And again, thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right, guys, if you want a podcast like a professional here in Everlasting Veteran Studio, I would just want to give a shout out to podcasttables.shop. You'll be able to podcast professionally and be able to get your message, your showcase, and everything out in a professional manner. This table right here is absolutely sturdy. I want to say thank you for podcasttables.shop, trusting an Everlasting Veteran, and being able to help out with this studio build that I have here. Truly, truly amazing. And if you haven't already, go and download Support Vets app because it's here. It's a growing ecosystem that's going to benefit and help the veteran community all around, businesses, organizations, VAs. You don't have to be a veteran to use it. You can show your support by going on and finding your local veteran business or organization and be able to give back a little bit. I appreciate everybody that's listening, everybody that has come on and supported Everlasting Veteran thus far. Scott, thank you so much. And we'll talk soon about the cruise.